Let me introduce the chairman of our board, Richard Mullen. Richard?
Tom, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the ISO Board of Governors, it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Stakeholders Symposium. The ISO Board looks forward to this event each year. It's a great setting for engaging stakeholders, market participants, and policymakers. It's also a place where ideas can be articulated and discussed to improve our collective capacity to meet the challenges that lie ahead of us. From a strategic perspective, numerous policy and technological drivers are changing the way electricity is created, stored, transmitted, and used. The California ISO sees these drivers as opportunities to transition to a smarter, cleaner, more reliable grid. For the past several years, the ISO has pursued these goals that provide us with a certain amount of strategic perception. The ISO board and the staff of the organization are looking at three goals that inform our strategic vision. First, we are leading the transition to a low-carbon grid. Second, we seek to reliably manage the grid during energy industry transformation. Third, we propose to expand regional collaboration inside and beyond California to unlock environmental and economic benefits to all concerned. In short, we are pursuing the transformation of a century-old industry which, with near total reliance on fossil fuels, to a system that is reliant on renewable energy in its multiple forms and applications. The path towards the transformation is over 50 years in making, drawing in part from military and space program goals and applications, and now urged on by our growing awareness of the societal dangers of greenhouse gas emissions and global warming. Fortunately, as we pursue the transition to a low-carbon grid, we have enjoyed the leadership and support of the Governor of California, the California State Legislature, and California's environmental, energy, and economic regulatory agencies. But leadership is not solely coming from California. Our neighboring states have also charted their own courses towards transforming the grid. A number of Western states and their leaders are here today to engage in symposium opportunities for discussion and the exchange of information and opinion. Thank you for joining us, those of you who are not Californians, and thank you for your collaboration and willingness to engage. The issues and the opportunities before us are now to understand each other's states' perspectives and prerogatives. Transforming the grid requires new levels of cooperation, it demands new ideas, and it encourages new technologies. Needless to say, it's challenging to realize alignment of viewpoints across industry sectors and across state lines. It takes considerable effort to grasp topics as big as these, and it takes much patience to move issues forward. The truth is, if we are to transform the grid, we need to develop every tool possible to overcome the operational challenges of deep renewable penetration. The ISO board has been directly involved in the low carbon grid conversation, and we look forward to much more discussion in the coming months. To everyone, both inside and within and without California, who is involved in these discussions, the board offers its genuine appreciation. We have much to do. We are fortunate to have many active and productive minds on the job. As the year goes by, we hope to see the fruits of our labor and closer to a world where clean, plentiful electricity is powering not only the grid, but the world in which we live itself. Thank you all for coming to the symposium. It's an exciting program, as Tom outlined to you, and we look forward to everyone's participation, and I'm sure we will all benefit from the couple days away from our normal routines to sit and stand, talk, dance, or whatever we do. Anyway, it's a great pleasure to have you all participating in this symposium and offering your ideas and your goodwill to resolve the issues that face us all. Now, if you'd all please join me in welcoming the ISO's President and CEO, Steve Berberich. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this morning to welcome you all. I think Tom laid out a really impressive and aggressive agenda, and frankly, I think the greatest innovation so far is they finally put some curtains out in the lobby so we're not all blinded by the morning sun. So hats off for that innovation. Nonetheless, in this room are a number of people that are going to be part of the discussion as we go forward, and I think we're all going to take part in framing that. Whether it be from the states around the West, whether it be from the storage companies to the hydro companies, throughout, we're going to have a great conversation this morning and talk about a number of things. And I'm going to probably have to do this off the cuff because my confidence monitor is not working. So I'll do my best just to wing it from here. Oh, I've pressed the green button. Oh, there it is. Well, there's one here, and there's one here. Anyway, it's always good to have these things work out well. But I do want to thank a number of people here today. Assemblyman Rocky Chavez is here, and Assemblyman, thank you for your service to the country as well. It's a pleasure to have you here today. From the governor's office, Cliff Rechtshoffen, which as a fellow German, at least I'm able to pronounce his name reasonably well. From the PUC, Michael Picker, Michael Florio, Leanne Randolph, and advisors, I'm sure. From the CEC, Dr. Bob Weisenmiller, the chair, Andrew McAllister, Karen Douglas, Janaea Scott, David Holtzscheld. And from our neighboring states, we have a number of people as well. We have Nevada PUC Chair Paul Thompson, Utah PSC Chair Thad LeVar, Washington Utilities and Transportation Commissioners Phil Jones and Ann Rendell, and from Hawaii, Lorraine Akiba, and Hawaii has certainly been an innovator, I think will really add to this conversation. But another group really deserves a call out as well. It's our new Western partners that are here today that are either participating in the energy imbalance market or looking at participating in the energy imbalance market. And having them part of the conversation, I think, is important too. I think at this point, let's take stock though. Let's take stock about where we stand in this dialogue about the grid. Let me start with California and then let me move forward. In California, obviously we're pursuing a very aggressive renewable portfolio standard transition to a new 21st century grid. And in this, we have the participation of wind and solar and geothermal and storage and demand response and a number of things. And this transformation of the 21st century grid, I think, is before us. Is California alone, though? No. In fact, if you look around the West, you'll see RPS's renewable portfolio standards that range from 50% to 25%. Oregon now will be joining California in this goal. And what we all need to do, though, is know about renewables and how we're going to handle them and how we're going to reliably operating a grid. In California, we now have 18,000 megawatts of capacity on our system. And any given day, we have 25, 30, and 2 times this spring, we crossed over 50% of the load being served by renewables. That's an impressive feat. But it's something we all need to dialogue on how we're going to handle this and how we'll proceed. There are things that we're going to have to grapple with as we do integrate the renewables, as we do create this 21st century, though. We know there's going to be some challenges, and with those challenges, I think, present opportunity. We're going to see up to 13,000 megawatts of overgeneration at a time in California when we have excess solar and not enough demand. And I submit to you, that's a problem that should be good. Low cost, zero carbon energy is for the benefit of society and the good for all, and there must be a way to be able to harness that. And I think there is. But we have to know that it's coming and we can use it. So this overgeneration we're going to see, we see it in Europe, we see it in Germany, we see it wherever there's high penetrations of renewables. The second thing that we're going to see then, though, is ramping. And the ramping happens because the solar comes off at night and you all come home at dinner time in the fall and the spring. You turn your lights on and turn on in California your hot tub and you get your wine out of the wine cabinet and you do all the things that you do out here in the West. But when you do that, we have this extreme ramp. And it used to be 6,500 megawatts over a 3-hour period, and now it's excess of 10,000 megawatts over a 3-hour period, and it's going to 15,000 megawatts over a 3-hour period. That's an extreme ramp. Now, we can go it alone in the West. We can build our own ramping resources and invest in everything that we need to be able to integrate renewables by ourselves. We do have some solutions, and we need to explore them. Energy efficiency is going to play a role. Demand response will play a role. Electric vehicle charging will play a role. But let me give you some perspective. I talked about 13,000 or 15,000 megawatts of overgeneration. 3 million electric vehicles charging all at once is 1,500 megawatts. California leads the nation, 200 and some thousand cars, electric cars here. Those are all great solutions. But another solution is instead of going it alone, instead of building all these resources you need to be able to back up these renewables, why not share them? Why not harness the resources across neighbors? Why not share the overgeneration, this cheap, clean energy? That's where regional comes into play. And this regional opportunity we have is to be able to collaborate across the West, to be able to share resources for the benefit of the environment, for the benefit of the economics, and for the ratepayers. We know from the studies we just released that you can save in California over $1 billion a year if we regionalize the grid. Millions of tons of carbon can be saved if we regionalize the grid. That's in California. Imagine what will happen in the rest of the West when we do all this together. That's the opportunity that we have. We see this play out in Europe where they seamlessly trade power in a day-ahead market. They use the hydro resources in the Nordic countries to be able to integrate the renewables. In Germany, it's a harmony, it's a harmonization of their grid for the benefit of all. We see an energy imbalance market now where you can share resources and create value for very little investment. So far, the energy imbalance market, since its inception, has gross benefits of $88 million, of hundreds of thousands of tons of CO2 that's been reduced. It's a win-win opportunity. But we all have the opportunity today, in the discussions today, to be able to think about this and talk about this. I challenge us all to have a conversation about thinking long and thinking big, about thinking about how electric vehicles play in and how demand response plays in and how renewables play in, but also how to have a backup fleet that's clean and reliable and gets compensated appropriately. So I think that's the backdrop that we have this morning. That's the backdrop we have for the next day and a half to be able to have this conversation amongst all of us. So it is a pleasure to have you all here today, and I look forward to speaking with many of you individually and certainly together. I think we have a great lineup of speakers, and I look forward to the dialogue. Thanks, everyone.